Good afternoon and welcome back to I-24 News. I'm Benjamin Tjong. We begin in Israel, where the IDF rescued 2 soldiers overnight from the Qalandiya refugee camp north of Jerusalem. According to Defense Minister Moshe Ya'alon, the soldiers accidentally went from Jerusalem to Ramallah through Qalandia using GPS app Waze. Ya'alon said of the incident, quote, "I always said that when using GPS, you also need to know how to navigate with a map." The 2 were pelted with rocks and Molotov cocktails. According to the army, additional troops entered Qalandia to control the ongoing riot and retrieve the burned vehicle. 1 Palestinian rioter was killed and dozens injured during the IDF's operation to rescue the 2 soldiers.
They entered the camp and they said that they didn't manage to go back with their vehicle because youth from the camp surrounded them and were talking about youngsters. And they followed them, and later they abandoned their vehicle and ran towards the east side of the camp, towards the graveyard. The Israeli soldiers came and rescued them, and we lost a martyr.
Earlier, we were joined by Emil Olan, senior defense analyst from Israel's Haaretz newspaper, with more on the reasons for the violent response to the soldiers' presence in Qalandia.
The problem was that no one knew that these 2 soldiers were entering the Qalandia camp. They probably were not aware themselves of their whereabouts. And when the border patrol tried to extricate them, a firefight ensued, a very unfortunate incident, because usually the Palestinian security forces are the ones who are extricating both civilians as well as soldiers. These incidents are rarely reported, and the Israeli authorities are usually grateful to the Palestinian security forces. However, the Palestinian residents of Qalandia naturally suspected that this was just part of an operation, which it was not, and unfortunately it caused the death of a Palestinian student. But generally, the Palestinians now resist more and more what used to be routine operations where Israelis were entering the various neighborhoods in order to arrest suspects. Usually the other residents stood by silently, but more and more they are resisting, sometimes by stoning, sometimes by firebombing, and sometimes by actual fire. And then, of course, there are casualties.